So my name's Nick Hodges. I'm the developer advocate for Passage, and I brought some stickers and some of our flyers. So if you want a sticker for your laptop, if you're into that, they're here. And if you want one of our flyers, I encourage you to take it. Please do. Let me get my presentation up here. Let's see, slideshow. That's not right. Start from beginning. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you tonight about, passwords and why they should go and why you should be embracing and jumping all over Passkeys as soon as you possibly can. How many have heard of Passkeys? Anybody see Apple's announcement in the last week or so? They're supporting it. They're the first ones to come out officially supporting it, but Google and Microsoft are going to follow suit pretty soon. So, quick word about me. I'm the developer advocate at Passage, as I said. I do a lot of Angular TypeScript development. Used to be a Delphi developer. Any old Delphi guys in the room?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Good for you.
I was actually the Delphi product manager at one time at Borland. Yeah.
I was a big Delphi developer.
All right. Good. Yeah. And I'm an avid Minnesota sports fan, and Monday night was pretty much torture for me, but that's all right. I also love pistachios. My advice is if there's a bowl of pistachios in the room, don't get between me and the bowl of pistachios. And if you want to connect with me, you can go to this link here, passage.id/Nick, and you can fill out the form there, and I'll get in touch with you and send you a t-shirt or something if you want. So that's me. So let's talk, before I get into all this other stuff, I just want to talk a little bit about the timing of passwords. Passwords haven't been around forever. They were invented in 1961. I think probably at some point somebody realized that you'd have to have some kind of access, limit the access to a computer. By 2005, multi-factor authentication with OTP was invented. The iPhone was released in 2007. And at some point along between the release of the iPhone and 2012, people realized that passwords were starting to get problematic. And the FIDO Alliance was launched. FIDO stands for Fast Identification Online. And they launched their organization, I think Lenovo and PayPal were the two big names that were interested in doing, getting rid of the password. And they started working on password identification. In 2015, Microsoft added Windows Hello, which provided biometric authentication on your machine. 2017, Face ID came into being. And in 2019, WebAuthn. Anybody heard of WebAuthn before? Okay, if you haven't, you'll know what it is by the end of the night. Safari and Chrome update to include it a couple of years ago. And just last year, WebAuthn 2.0 spec was released. And that was really the protocol that's going to allow us to do all kinds of passwordless authentication. So let's just a quick look at that. So anybody out here like passwords? Anybody here think, gee, I can't wait to memorize another password? Nobody is going to raise their hand, and if you do, I'm going to mock you mercilessly, right? Because it's just, they're just horrible. I think at best you could say they're suboptimal, right? They worked for a while until people figured out a bunch of different things. And here's something that you might not realize. 80% of security breaches are basically the result of a compromised password. Somebody phishing you for your password, somebody calling you up and asking you for your password, somebody seeing a picture of you on the internet with your password on a yellow sticky note next to your monitor. I mean, there's, yeah, that's how it happens, right? So why are passwords suboptimal? I mean, you probably thought about this. I'll go through this pretty quickly. But they're often, they're not complex enough, right? Because you don't have enough special characters or numbers or uppercase and lowercase and all that. I mean, it's no fun. They're frustrating for users. People don't like to memorize them. So what do? They reuse them. They make simple passwords. And, have you seen the list of the most common passwords out there? Password 123, QWERTY. It's also a good one, People give them around. Here's the thing that's really bad. They're phishable, right? They're somebody can make you think you're on the login site when you're really not. And you type in your username and password, and then it's gone. Or in the case of Uber last week, You can you can even phish multi-factor authentication information to break that. So it's that's really bad. Anybody really enjoy using one password or LastPass? I mean, no, they're complicated. They're no fun. They don't always work on your phone the way you want them to. And I was talking to my dad on the way over, telling him I'm going to talk about passwordless stuff tonight. And it occurred to me that LastPass, God bless him, is probably too much for him. You know what I mean? Right? Too much for him. And here's something people don't think about. They don't scale. The more people you have in your organization, the more people that sign up on your website, the more vulnerable you become. You have 10 people in your organization, chances are those 10 people can be educated enough not to get phished. But if you have 10,000 people in your organization, different story, right? So what are we going to do? What is there to be done? What can one do? Well, biometrics, right? Biometrics is really the source and the key to all of the world of passwordless, right? One thing, you don't have to remember anything. You can do two-factor authentication, as I'll talk about in one quick step. You don't have to switch context. This is big. One of the things users hate is like you're logging in and you got to go find your phone, get a number, type the number. It's estimated that 30% of all sales go away online because the company makes you log in and you just go, screw that, I'm not doing it, right? You don't have to switch context. There's no personal information at all that gets transferred off your phone. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now you don't have any sensitive data being stored on a server far away. And I don't want to say cannot. Cannot is kind of strong, but nobody right now can figure out a way to phish this thing. And I'll talk about why that's the case a little bit here too. So WebAuthn is the specification approved by FIDO and the W3.org. If you go to the W3.org, you can read this spec. It's pretty interesting. This diagram on the right is the diagram for how it works. Don't worry, I simplified it a little bit and made it a little simpler for you. Most major browsers today support the WebAuthn protocol. The WebAuthn protocol basically is a protocol that allows a web browser to communicate with and talk to two things. One, the biometric device on your phone or your computer or whatever device you're using. And two, it talks to the TPM, the Trusted Platform Manager, which is a chip on your phone and on your on many new laptops that does all the work of managing these things. I'll talk about how the TPM works in a minute. It uses public key cryptography, which is kind of interesting, right? Mostly you think of public key cryptography as like you want to send somebody a secret message and you type up your message, you encrypt it with their public key and send it to them and they can decrypt it and see it, right? But the reverse works in allowing someone to prove that they are who they say they are, right? If you take someone's public key, encrypt something with it, send it to them and say, what did I send you? They can decrypt it, send it back to you, and now you know that they are the person whose public key you used, right? So we'll see how that works here in a little bit too. And again, it leverages biometrics. That's the most common way. It's not required to use biometrics. And in fact, Windows Hello is pretty common for this, right? Like when I sit at my desk at home, I have my laptop here folded up behind my monitor, and I just use the monitor. So when the biometrics thing pops up, I can say, oh, I want to type in my PIN, right? And I type in my PIN instead. And again, it's not biometrics, but it's using the same theory as biometrics, which is local information only that never leaves the computer. So how does the WebAuthn work? This is how it works. You got a user and a server. And the user said, this is the registration process. This is a process of signing up on a website, right? Now when you go there, you got to type in your username and your password, and you got to verify the password, and then they send you an email, and you click on, all kinds of stuff goes on. Here's how it works. So the user says, hey, I want to create an account. So the server says, hey, great, send me a public key, okay? So then what happens is the user's computer says, okay, the browser, the users you're working in, gets that message from the server, and then it goes to the TPM, and the TPM generates a unique public-private key just for that website, and that website alone, and stores the private key in the TPM, which is practically, as far as I know, uncrackable even if you get a hold of the phone or the computer. It then sends that public key back out, right? So it creates that public key pair, and then the browser says, okay, here's my public key. The server then takes that, stores it, and hey, you're all registered. That's it. So no secret information has left the server, the browser, or the user, right? The only thing that goes out really is your public key. There's other information that goes along with that in a packet of data, but it's basic information that is publicly available. No secret information leaves your laptop or your phone, your device. Okay? So now you're all registered with that server. So then what's the login process? The login process says, hey, the client says, hey, I want to log in. What happens now is the server says, hey, okay, here's some data. Sign it with your private key. You don't even have to encrypt it. Just sign it. There's a way to do that with public-private keys. Sign the data, and then the client goes, okay, hands on it, signs the data, and says, hey, here's that signed data that you sent me. And now the server takes the public key that it knows that who you are and says, okay, I'm going to check this. It decrypts or unsigns or checks the validates the sign with your public key. And it says, hey, you checked out, you're logged in. Again, there's no secret information passing between the server and the client. No secret information on the server. Okay? So that's how it works. So the question becomes then, how do passkeys fit in all this? Okay? What is a passkey? So a passkey is really just that private key sitting in your TPM on your phone or your computer. That's all a passkey really is that private key. Okay? And as I mentioned earlier, Microsoft, Apple, and Google are all committed to supporting the system. Can anybody guess why those big three are involved in doing this?
More money.
Well, that's interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to go passwordless, but probably the reason that these three are is because I would be willing to bet that 98 or 99% of the devices and computers in the world are either running Microsoft software, Apple software, or Android software, right? Those are the big three. And they're the ones that actually produce most of the devices, and Windows supports that. And Windows supporting other manufacturers. So that's why they're the three companies that need to support this, okay? So here's the really cool part about the WebAuthn 2.0 spec is that it's shareable, okay? So if you are an Apple user, you can log into a site with your phone, and that passkey is stored on your computer, on your phone, but Apple will actually, in a completely safe and encrypted way, send that information up to the iCloud, and then the next time you go to your Mac, logged in with the same Apple ID, you can just log straight into this site with your biometric authentication. Okay? Microsoft's going to do the same thing with their cloud, right, with Azure, and then Google's going to do the same thing with their cloud. Now, the downside so far, and they're working on a solution for this, is that if you have an Android phone and a MacBook, okay, that's not as easy to move them between the things, but you can. You can actually ask your iPhone to produce a QR code that can be then read by another device, and that QR code basically says, hey, I have a passkey I have a bunch of passkeys for this user. Can you take them for me? And then if you've got an iPhone and a Windows device, the Windows computer then says, oh, okay, that's great. I will go ahead and create passkeys on my Windows machine. Not transfer the passkeys, but actually create passkeys for those situations. Now, the question probably pops into your head, well, what if I can read somebody else's QR code? Well, guess what? The spec calls for Bluetooth to be used between the two systems. So if your phone is not Bluetooth distance away from the place producing the QR code, it won't work. So if somebody steals your phone, they can't just bring up the QR code from your system and scan it on their phone or anything like that. Can't work. The two items have to be in the same little vicinity of each other. Now, theoretically, I suppose somebody could quick pull out their phone. You're at the airport, and somebody could quick pull out the phone, scan your QR code. But odds of that, I mean, anyway, odds of that are pretty low. So why is this all better? Why is this a better system? One of the things to recognize is that no biometric data ever leaves your device. No secret information ever leaves your device. And that's not always true, because actually it does leave and go up into the cloud. But again, Apple, basically, I think we all can trust Apple, Google, and Microsoft. No? Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Trust Microsoft.
But the biometric, that special information never leaves your device. There's no secret data floating around out there that's of any use to anybody. The TPM chip does all the work. Just as a side note, remember Microsoft 11? Some of you couldn't upgrade to Microsoft 11 because your computer wasn't Microsoft 11 ready. That's because you didn't have a TPM chip.
No, I had to turn it on.
Oh, you had to turn it
I
on?
just did this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You had to turn it on in BIOS.
That may be, it depends. But to run Windows 11, you must have a TPM. Yeah. It can't be phished. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but because the information is stored on your phone and can only be brought about as a result, and can only be accessed as a result of the WebAuthn on your phone, it's basically unhackable, unphishable. You couldn't share that data with somebody if you tried.
Well, what about the geeks on NCIS?
Oh, them. They can get into anything. Yeah, just click on the keyboard a little bit, and then yeah. So
how do somebody gets an old phone on soldered chip?
the chip is designed such that
That's not with a heat gun. I have a scenario though, like if you, typically you'll sign up for a website.
Mhm.
Who knows what you do first? If I'm here, I'll use my phone. If I'm at home, I'll use the computer. And unless that's syncing all the time, like on its own, I'm not going to remember to sync that. And I'll be out, and I'll need to log on to someplace. And if it's not automatically synced, and I only have it hooked into the computer, I'm screwed, right?
it syncs itself.
On cross-platform.
Oh, cross-platform?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that may be.
I have a Windows computer.
That could be, yeah. Or you could create a new passkey on your own with a new registration, but it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, you're right. That never occurred to me.
Yeah.
That is one downside. Yeah. That's just more reason to stay in one community. Just stay on Microsoft's platform.
Well, unfortunately, I have my Microsoft phone.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's fortunate.
By the way, for the TV people, the question was, what if you don't sync between your MacBook and your Android phone? You can't log in. Well, that's true, yeah. Downside. Yes. What about people that use a computer at a library? I haven't considered that. That has not crossed my mind. That's a great question. I can tell you how my company deals with that. And the way that my company deals with that is anytime you log in using our passwordless solution, you can request a magic link be sent to your email address. And the email address then gets a link that you can click on and it'll log you in.
So I was thinking about something like that. So it's sort of like a backup plan.
Yes.
hopefully, under most cases, you would think like, we're not using passwords, we're not sharing them. If you need one, we're going to share that link. Now, that link theoretically could get compromised, right? Someone could get hold of that link, but that's the circumstance. You chose to do that in that.
And yeah, somebody cracking your email would be, reading your email as it happens would be able to use that.
But you hope to minimize those situations.
So, wait, does everybody know what a magic link is? What the term magic link talks to? It's a link, a one-time link that you can click on to log in somewhere. And the second you click on it, the link becomes useless. You can't use it again. And so that actually allow you to do what you described. Yeah, yeah. That should have occurred to me. And here's the other thing that's really great is the user experience is so much better, right? No more fumbling with passwords. No more going to your password manager. No more waiting for a text that may or may not come in a timely fashion, right? You just go to the site, touch the screen, and you're in. That's it. You don't have to remember anything. And it's like 1,000 times more secure. It's like a huge win-win here in my mind. But anyway. Okay.
This chip is that.
I won't say anything's uncrackable, but it would take a level of sophistication that your average non-government sponsored hackers are not going to have.
I mean, my point is that, okay, I have information on this device.
Mhm.
I trade my phone in. God knows where in the world that's going to go. And if there is, if there becomes a way like, oopsie, there was a flaw in the way we did this, you're kind of screwed in some ways. I mean, yeah, if I have a pin, if a piece of data that's encrypted in there, it's a pin. Like on this box, I have
Mhm. Mhm.
But if it's my fingerprint, if it's like some mathematical representation of my fingerprint, and that gets out, what do I do? Cut off my index finger?
Well,
Throw a new one?
to answer the question is, what if it's my fingerprint and my mathematical representation of my fingerprint gets out there? Well, first of all, there is no one mathematical representation of your fingerprint. And two, it will only work on that phone.
Well, if somebody gets it out of my phone, puts it in a kid.
I already have that choice, but I'm question that, but does it send the mathematical representation of your fingerprint as well as some kind of internal chip ID? Are those two things? Because you could revoke, if the two are combined,
You can revoke it, right?
revoke that.
You can definitely revoke any registered passkey. That's part of the deal. So I don't know enough about how the TPM works to know. I'm not a encryption expert. I don't know enough about the TPM to know that if that's possible or how that works. The thing I want to point out too is we're talking about an extremely small, a very, very small threat surface, right? Whereas passwords have a threat surface the size of the Pacific Ocean, right?
Because TPM it's effectively a salted, burned key. So the manufacturer puts some number in there. It isn't like a soft thing that goes in there. So someone might be able to break into one of them, but then they'd have to do the same equivalent stuff to two of them, three of them, four of them. So that's protection. Correct.
So I confess I don't know. But there is a website, the trustedplatformmodel.org, I think it's called, that tells you everything you need to know about it. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure somebody smarter than me has thought of that exact scenario and done something to make it excessively challenging to figure out. Like maybe the Russian government or the NSA or, well, I don't know about the Russian government anymore, but the Chinese, right. So the one thing I want to talk about, one thing I want to mention too is that the better user experience means higher conversions, right? It means the more people will log into your systems, more people will sign up on your website, more people will buy your stuff on your website, that kind of thing. All very important. So I'll see if I can head off with some questions that are going to come up, right? One question is, what if I lose my phone?
Game over.
Not a problem. The passkeys are stored in the cloud. And if you get a new phone, you log in and the passkeys will magically appear on your phone, right? And then what if my biometric information is compromised? The quick answer is it can't be compromised. And nobody has figured out a way, unless they can steal your fingerprint. I suppose if somebody, if I went here and I put my fingerprint up on the thing there, somebody might be able to steal that fingerprint and figure out a way to make it work. But it would only work on my phone, wouldn't work on any other phone. And as far as I know, there's no way to replicate that because of the TPM chip. But again, not 100% clear.
I also saw, just went to Europe, and for returning EU citizens, they do like ID by a face scan.
Mm-hmm. Face ID is part of Apple, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's part of German.
Getting back into Germany, yeah.
USA, sure.
Well, they do, US, they do all your biometrics based stuff. Okay. They do it, the first time I saw it was in Germany. And,
I just did it.
okay, so that's the same idea.
So what if my physical biometrics change, what if you get some like serious plastic surgery or, I don't know, your fingerprints change, I don't know how that would work. You can still log in with a magic link, but if your fingerprint actually changed, I think you might be in big trouble. That might be difficult. You might have to re-register in that case using your middle finger or something. Any other questions at this point? What else is going through your head? The thing I want to stress is I can't tell you that this was 100% safe. It's not. Like I said, we can't right now figure out any way to conceive of phishing this kind of thing, but people out there are pretty smart. But right now, the threat surface here is just very small compared to using passwords. So, yeah, Andy.
Nick, I'm not sure I understand your experience. Is it sort of invisible to the user? Like I go to a site and I don't even know I'm creating an account. It communicates the web app just communicates with the server and.
I'm going to demonstrate it to you here.
You are.
Yeah. Yes.
How is it distributed?
Sorry?
How is it distributed?
Strictly speaking, the web authn protocol does not require any identification other than the information that comes out of your TPM chip, i.e. a private key. That's it. But most sites will want a email or a phone number to verify you before they say you're registered. So to re-register again? Sorry? But they don't have your private key, and they don't have the ability to generate a public key for your email. I think I know what you're asking. I think what you're asking is why can't somebody take my email address and register with it? If what gets compromised? I'm sorry. The biometric data cannot be compromised. No, but you're not buying it?
Unless Tom Cruise or somebody like from the spy movie comes along, like it doesn't happen.
Correct. Bill?
Okay, so following up on her question,
Yes.
I have 4 devices. They each have their own TPM.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume they each have their own private keys. So am I, and I have a website I use a lot. Am I now creating 4 accounts with that website?
That gets to the question of the cloud system.
Yes.
What happens is if you log in with your iPhone and then immediately walk over to log in with your MacBook, it'll just work.
Okay, so somewhere behind the scenes, they're matching up keys from two different devices and saying, these are both Nick Hodges.
Correct. I don't know how they do that, I confess. But it can be done. I've seen it happen. I don't have the video with me right now, but that's the demo that they do, that Apple does.
Well, I'm personally fascinated that a lot of websites now, you can log in with your Facebook account, your Google account, and people don't think anything of that. They just click on the link.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going into another site, I'm okay.
Yeah, and even that, the social logins are still password based, right? Somebody can steal your password, and even if they're MFA, multi-factor authentication, even if you require the authenticator app with the 6-digit number, that's even phishable now. People are figuring out ways to phish that, so it gets pretty ugly. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Question there. So in the backup, like if I heard market or something per day.
Yeah, that's what the magic link is.
How does the magic link work if my email is also associated with the login?
If your email is associated with the login, then we send a magic link with an email with a magic link in it to your email address. You can log in, click the link. You can log into your email, read your email, click the link, and it logs you in. You've probably seen magic links now. A lot of people are using them. I've been to sites where that's the only way you can log in. It's through a magic link. But even then, you have to leave. You have to context switch, right? That's still a problem, right? Anything else from anybody? So, if you want to give it a try, right now, this very minute, go to this address on your phone or on your computer and log in. You can scan. Yeah, you can scan the thing, and you'll be logged in. It's our demo site. Gives you a lot of information, and you can see how easy it is. This is the experience you were talking about here a second ago, Andy. Go there. Let me know if you have any trouble. My boss is going to love me tomorrow because we're going to have all these logins on the Passtown. Sorry?
Something went wrong.
Now? You know what? I don't know.
Oh,
What happened?
something went wrong.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I have no idea. It said something went wrong.
Oh, is that what it says?
It literally says something.
Let me see.
There you go. Good. Something wrong.
Try again.
I did try again.
Oh, you did?
I tried again several times. Something continues to go wrong. I am on the internet, so
Oh, okay.
that's weird.
Try a different email. I don't know. That's not good. That'll show.
That's my only. Well,
Send me your email tomorrow, and I'll figure out why you had trouble.
Mine worked. That's it. I got the phone wrong too. That iPhone that something was wrong with?
yes.
Really? That's not good.
Yeah. So it says I have an account that exists, but I can't create it. And something.
Mine says I'm registered, but I can't.
Oh, frack. We tested the shit out of this, believe me.
Mine says Bill Wolf.
Anybody succeed? Who succeeded? Okay, so it does work, sort of. Okay. What happened? Something went wrong.
Too many requests.
Oh, boy.
Demo server.
He doesn't have.
Okay.
It's just
Just wait, so it's scaling.
It's
Okay, so now basically I backed out and got through the round of doing reentry. It said register again, and I was able to do that.
Oh, it worked?
Yeah, it did work finally.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm gonna try it again, but it's around that exact same page.
You might not know it, but if you put if you type your email, like my email address is nickhodges@gmail.com. If you type nickhodges+1@gmail.com, it'll go to nickhodges@gmail.com, but the system will think it's a different email address. So if you want to try another email address, or anybody else having trouble?
I got it the second time. I had to re-register.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So do I create an app? What do I do?
At this point, my recommendation would be to sign up and create an application. Yes, and I'll show you here how easy that can be. How easy it is to add this authentication to your application. if anybody has any problems and has had problems and wasn't able to try like a second time, don't hesitate to send me an email at nick@passage.id and I will get you fixed up and figure out why. I don't know what the problems people are having. Is it working for you guys? You good? Good. Okay.
Just to let you know, I did on my Windows
Mhm.
device with Hello
Yeah.
at work, and then I went to here on my phone, Android. I put in my, it said, "You already have an account?" I said, "Yeah," I gave it my email, sent me the magic link, boom, I'm in.
Great. It works. All right, I'm going to jump over to some code right now and show you very quickly. I don't spend a lot of time looking at the code here because this is an Angular application. And I'm just going to show, what's that?
What a surprise.
What a surprise, yes. Okay, so here's the application at work. Let me see if it's still running. Here's the application. So here is me. This is an Angular application running on my local host. Let me see if I can make that bigger. There we go. All right, so I'm going to type in nick.hodges, Hodges, I can't type, plus 70 at, what's that?
Been doing this a lot.
Yeah. Well, I know, I haven't gotten up to 70 yet. I know that. I think I was in the 60s and I did some 50s and it's all good. So this is Angular running on my local machine, not the demo site that you guys. So continue. Doesn't know the email. Register at the link below. Okay, so I click register, and it says continue. So it fills it in automatically for me. It continues. It says register with biometrics. Ready? Here we go. I have a Dell XPS 15 with a biometrics-based power key. Right? Let me register with biometrics. So then it pops up, and it says scan your fingerprint on the fingerprint reader, which I just did. It says hello, Nick Hodges. Knows it's me. And there, I'm signed in. I have my Windows. This is a Windows 11 machine. There's a bug. Yeah. Most of what you're looking at here is actually just a single web component embedded in the application. So here we go. So here's the home page, right? And that's it. That's the home page embedded inside this page with a banner app and all that stuff. But the home page is just this line of code here, which is passage-auth web component. Everybody know what a web component is? It's basically it's a special tag, and you can install it with NPM, no problem at all. We have tutorials on our site for Vue, React, Next.js, Angular, and Node.
Is that part of the work you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you gonna do Blazor?
It works with Blazor now because it's a web. Blazor's web component capable, if I understand correctly. So you can just embed that in your HTML and you're good. And then the dashboard actually, HTML again. If you're authorized, if you're not authorized, it'll just tell you you're unauthorized. But if you're authorized, it will show this passage-profile web component. And again, you get an app ID from us. We give you an app ID, and that's in your environment file. You know, here's my app ID, whatever. You get that from us, and you can build your own application. I put this demo together in half an hour. Free for the first 5,000 users. So anyway, you can go home tonight and do it. And I sincerely hope you will.
So how much is it after the first free?
We're a startup and we don't have that many yet.
$2.88 an hour.
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Just like
Our website, we're a startup, and so we don't have any paying customers yet. So,
Okay.
but you know, this is cool, right? I mean, so give it a look, give it a try. You know, think about it. I'd encourage you to build an application in half an hour. If you're familiar enough with Vue or React or something, you can just embed these things in the Or you can download our demos. We have demos for, we have GitHub / Passage Identity is our GitHub. And you can download the demos and look at those as well. But that's everything else outside of these 2 lines of code with these 2 passage web components. Everything else is just basic Angular, right? Everything else is normal Angular. Other than me embedding those into we have internationalization. So currently we have German and French, but we are in the process of making it possible for you to internationalize to any language just by building a simple JSON file with the translated code. We'll start doing the more popular languages, Spanish and Norwegian, Serbo-Croatian, whatever. Question, sir.
So if I want somebody else's computer,
Log on?
yeah, so I'm doing, I don't have my computer with me right now.
Magic link. You click the magic link. I think it actually, here, let's see. I think that was an option, if I'm not mistaken. Don't have an account, register here. Yeah. Interesting. It should provide you the option with a magic link. Oh, this one, let me see. How do I- Yes,
If you continue, then it would say you want to register these devices.
correct.
And now you have your girlfriend's
No,
TPM private key in your.
no, you don't. The magic link does not use the
When you break up.
magic link doesn't do any of the TPM registering stuff. Yes.
Darn it. Is there custody?
Jump to work right now.
I want my private key.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at our demo site to see what. I don't understand why it's not offering you a magic link, but it should offer you a magic link.
Yeah, I put in the email.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's what I did to get it to work on my phone. That this email exists, you have to account. It's sending.
Oh, it's just sending an email to log me in. Yeah. So this is an important step too. It's resending me the email, and if let me check. I'll check my email. Don't worry about it. So
So then, when Mark gets the email, then he can click that on this foreign computer.
I have to log in on your computer to my email.
Yeah.
Get the email.
Now it's different.
It's a very personal authentication method. Don't know about anyone else.
I think that's about all I have.
Cool. Interesting.
I appreciate your attention. Anybody got any questions? Don't hesitate to come up and get a sticker. If you want to take the QR code home, I got flyers here for you to grab. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm at nick@passage.id, or you can go to passage.id/Nick and fill out the form there and reach out to me. I really appreciate you listening and trying and asking good questions. And I have t-shirts, but just 5.